So, what is Monica Lewinsky's story? The basics. Monica Lewinsky's name is one of the most recognized in modern American history, not because of her own achievements initially, but because she was at the center of one of the most notorious political scandals of the 20th century. At its simplest, Monica Lewinsky is known as the former White House intern, whose relationship with President Bill Clinton ignited a media firestorm, leading to his impeachment in 1998. But to reduce her to just a scandal is unfair and incomplete. She is also an activist, writer, and public speaker who has transformed her narrative from being defined by humiliation to becoming a powerful advocate against cyberbullying, shame culture, and abuse of power. Lewinsky's story is about politics, but it is equally about humanity, media, power, and redemption. How it happened. In 1995, Monica Lewinsky was a 22-year-old intern at the White House. Bright, ambitious, and eager to prove herself, she found herself working close to the most powerful man in the world, President Bill Clinton. Over time, their relationship developed into something more than professional. What began as flirtation turned into a secret sexual relationship that lasted from 1995 to 1997. The affair itself might have remained private, but in an environment of political battles and media scrutiny, secrets rarely stayed hidden. Lewinsky confided in a co-worker, Linda Tripp, about the relationship. Tripp secretly recorded phone conversations and later turned those tapes over to independent counsel Kenneth Starr, who was already investigating Clinton on unrelated matters. What followed was an explosion. The details of the affair were laid bare for the world to see, from blue dresses to explicit conversations. Clinton initially denied everything, famously saying, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky." But later, under oath, he admitted to the relationship. The scandal became a legal, political, and cultural spectacle, leading to Clinton's impeachment by the House of Representatives, though he was acquitted by the Senate. For Monica, however, the consequences were far more personal. She was vilified in the media, mocked relentlessly in late-night jokes, and branded as a national punchline. While Clinton continued his presidency, Monica bore the weight of shame that followed her everywhere. History/origins. To understand Monica's story, you also have to understand the era in which it unfolded. The mid to late 1990s were a very different media environment. The internet was just beginning to spread into households. News outlets were competing in a 24-hour cycle for ratings. Tabloid television shows like Hard Copy and Inside Edition thrived on scandal. Lewinsky became one of the first global examples of what would later be called going viral. Her private life became public property. Every detail of her appearance, her weight, her voice, and her choices were dissected. Unlike Clinton, who had the machinery of political power and loyal supporters behind him, Monica was alone, young, and unequipped to handle the tidal wave of attention. Her family had to protect her from suicide attempts during the height of the scandal. She couldn't find stable work. Even simple things like going to a restaurant became opportunities for strangers to sneer or insult her. Monica Lewinsky was essentially the internet's first victim of mass shaming, before social media even existed. Impact/legacy. Over time, however, Monica Lewinsky reclaimed her story. After years of silence, she re-emerged in the public eye, not as a figure of scandal, but as an advocate. In the 2010s, she began speaking openly about the destructive culture of humiliation, especially in the digital age. She wrote powerful essays, delivered a TED Talk in 2015 that went viral, and started speaking about the psychological toll of cyberbullying and slut-shaming. Her voice carried particular weight because she lived through what millions now experience on social media: public shaming on a global scale. When celebrities or private citizens face online pile-ons, Monica's story serves as a cautionary tale of what happens when humans weaponize ridicule. Her activism also reframed how people saw the scandal itself. In the wake of the Me Too movement, many reevaluated her story not as one of equal consent, but as one of a power imbalance. A 22-year-old intern and a sitting U.S. president are not on equal footing. What was once framed as a joke became a serious conversation about workplace dynamics, abuse of power, and the treatment of women in public life. Today, Monica Lewinsky is recognized as more than that woman. She's an advocate, a cultural commentator, and an example of resilience in the face of overwhelming shame. Random facts that don't seem real. Monica Lewinsky's name became so infamous that it was added to the Oxford English Dictionary as a slang verb in the early 2000s, referring crudely to a sexual act. The blue dress that contained physical evidence of her relationship with Clinton became one of the most bizarre and infamous pieces of evidence in American political history. It was never washed and ultimately served as undeniable proof of the affair. Despite the humiliation, Monica actually designed handbags in the early 2000s under the label The Real Monica Inc. They were sold at high-end stores like Fred Segal in Los Angeles. At the height of the scandal, she was offered millions of dollars for book deals and interviews, though she later admitted none of that money could ever truly buy back her peace of mind. Today, she has embraced social media, particularly Twitter, where her witty, self-deprecating, and sharp posts have earned her a new kind of respect. In fact, she often pokes fun at her own past with a kind of humor that once would have been impossible for her to use publicly. Conclusion. So, what is Monica Lewinsky's story? It is the story of a young woman swept into the halls of power, caught in the crossfire of politics, media, and history. It is a story of shame weaponized on a scale few could survive. But more importantly, it is a story of reinvention. Monica Lewinsky transformed her identity from the butt of a cruel national joke into a voice of compassion and activism in the digital age. Her journey shows us how society can destroy someone, but it also reveals how someone can take back their voice and turn pain into power. Poem: Echoes of Shame. Her name once whispered in ridicule's flame, a life reduced to scandal's claim. But through the ashes, she learned to stand, a voice of courage across the land. What was once mockery, cruel and cold, now burns as truth, defiant and bold.